Hey, grade 9, you got through another class. Congratulations. And you survived my dry jokes. All right. Well, there's another dry joke. So just to recap today, September 16th, we went over the MLA8 document, which is located on the LibGuide, the course outline, and also on the LibGuide as an attachment. So 3 different places to get your MLA8 information. Actually, we include 4 if we use the poster in the classroom. So lots of different ways to get your MLA8 formatting information. We have one student that are pretty much done the essay, just got to fix it up. So that person will be free and clear of any major assignments aside from the novel study, which is everybody's still on October 9th for the Giver projects. But that gives that person more time to spend on the Giver, and then get that done sooner as well and free yourself up. So it all comes down to time management. We went into the Giver, and I'm going to bring the document up in just a sec. And we talked about the community in a little more detail. And like I said, I'll talk about the document in a sec. And then we went into Don't Label Me, and we were talking more about labeling. I shared some of my own personal experiences being labeled. And so it's, how I overcame that. And, I still get labeled to this day. So how do you move forward in those situations? It comes down to, fighting the battles, you can win. And so it comes down to choice, because if you're fighting every single battle, it's going to be a very stressful situation. So if you choose the battles, you can win, then you can manage things a little bit better. So labeling is probably not the best way to go about making relationships and things like that. And we talk about stating opinions. It's important that if you state an opinion, you want to validate, just like you're going to be doing in your paper. So if you just state an opinion, as it was said in class, it's just an opinion. You can't put any weight to it. There's no legs to stand on. So if you validate it, then you have legs to stand on. I may not agree entirely with it or whatever the case, but at least I can respect it, okay? So keep that in mind when you're doing your paper and any discussions that we may have or you may have with others. Be sure that you're listening to what's going on with those conversations. So let's bring up the course outline here. And so we in the chapter 1 and 2 section of the novel study for the Giver, this is on page 43. You were to answer what is released as stated as in the early parts of the novel, it should actually say. When does this occur? So you would state what chapter or what page this would occur, or what part of the novel it would occur. We talked about the routine that the family goes through, the resolution of feelings in the morning, and of course at supper time. It's a time of reflection, comfort, and support from the family unit. Precise language is a must. We talked about that a couple days ago. The community in a nutshell: babies are born to birth mothers. They're nurtured by nurturers. The December ceremony is a naming ceremony for those 50 babies that are born, and then of course the other children move up one more year, and they get closer and closer to independence. By the time they're 12, then they have the naming ceremony of the 12, where they are given their career for the rest of their life. Okay, so it's life-altering change for those 12s. We talked about the comfort objects for Jonas and Lily, and so you need to respond to that. We have the book of rules, and so adults don't choose their own spouses, but we're finding that Jonas has feelings for Fiona, and so that is a contradiction to the book of rules. So we'll learn more about those feelings later on. And then we talked about sameness. They chose sameness, which means instead of having individuality and security, or sorry, to ensure they have individuality and security, at least on the surface, they're giving up that freedom. But in their eyes, they feel they are free. But if you dig a little deeper, they're not necessarily free, because there's a lot of rules. They're being reprimanded publicly. They can't choose their own spouse. They have to apply for a child, that kind of thing. So is that really freedom? That's something we need to discuss. I'm not going to go through all the different changes that the age groups go through. You can check that out right here. But we have the 4, 5, and 6s, a lot of interdependence in there. And then when it turns 7, they become more independent, which leads to the volunteer hours, and it's mandatory. So when you are 8, you have to volunteer, and it's recommended that you volunteer in different things, so the elders can make a better choice when it comes to choosing your career that you'll end up doing for the rest of your life. 9s receive new bikes. We've got some more maturity changes at age 10 and 11. And of course, the 12s are giving their lifelong career. Okay. House of the Old, we talked about that. And people are controlled by the announcements and chastisements. So is that freedom? Okay. They think so, but it's all about control. Okay. These are some of the jobs that or careers choices that will be offered to the 12s when they have their ceremony. And then we finished off with the question, why is it difficult for citizens to make changes to any rule? Okay, we know that the elders, they'll accept any suggestions that you may have, but they take a very long time to discuss it, and pretty soon it gets forgotten and nothing gets changed. Okay, and people are none the wiser because they're not inquiring, they're not asking questions. So again, that's part of that freedom part there. And if you want to have freedom, you want to express your feelings, your discuss and have debates and things like that, so that we can maybe discuss change and improve things and stuff like that. So we don't see that happening in this world because it's sameness, right? Here are some terms. If you have any definitions or words that you're struggling with, these are some of the words that you may have some struggles with, sorry. So find out the context, how it's being used in the novel first, and then check a dictionary out to find out its meaning. Now, I'm not assigning this as an assignment, but if you would like to add that to your summary notes, please do so, and we can discuss about it in class. Okay, and on Friday, we'll get into this discussion here. 2 major themes are emphasized in the 3 chapters of chapters 3 to 5, freedom versus security, individuality versus conformity. Okay, so that will help us define what sameness is all about in a little more specific details. Okay, so that's the giver. And then we did our Don't Label Me, and we talked about labeling and, of course, the impacts it has on individuals, groups, and stuff like that. Why labeling is probably not the best thing to do, okay? Especially if you're trying to find that sense of belonging and things like that. But we're being assessed all the time, and of course, people have perceptions, and they make those perceptions without getting to know the person. So there's that prejudging that takes place, and we need to avoid that. So be careful on the labeling, but labels are out there. We have no control over that part, but we do have control on what we do when we interact with others and things like that. We need to avoid labeling each other, and we got to spend more time on the respecting the diversity that's out there. Okay, for who we are, and we're all unique. We're one of a kind. Okay, so we need to look at that. All right. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and be sure you check out the videos on Google Classroom and YouTube, and of course any posts on Google Classroom. Just keep yourself up to date. All right. So until then, take care. Be safe.